Hi everybody, I'm Gwen and welcome to At Home with Gigi. Thank you so much for being here today. I can't wait to share with you these 3 beautiful Easter DIYs. Now let's just get right into the video. For this DIY, we're going to be using one of these wooden eggs that came from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to give it a coat of Waverly chalk paint, and we're going to be using the color Alabaster. I know that I'm holding the paint sponge a little funny, but it was so floppy, it just would not. Every time I tried to paint, it just kept flopping, and I could not do anything. I should have just stopped and threw it away and got a paintbrush, but I didn't want to stop, so well, there you go. I let my little sign completely dry, and then I just went in with a pencil and my ruler and just drew in some of those faux shiplap lines, and then I'm just smudging it out with my finger just to give it a little bit of a distressed look. This part is completely optional. You don't have to draw in the lines if you don't want, and you definitely don't have to smudge it, but that's just the look I was going for. We're going to use the color Green Marsh from Apple Barrel, and you can get that at Walmart. And I'm just going to paint the little bunny there, just give him a good solid coat, and because I'm going to be covering him with Spanish moss, and if I happen to miss a spot with the moss, I just want to make sure that the wood is not going to show through. And this was left over from last spring, the little bunny, and where I did a project, and this came from those little tea light candle. Dollar Tree has them out every season, and this was the little bunny rabbit, and I just popped them apart, and this is the one that was left over. You can see the back where a little bit of the wood came off whenever I pulled them apart. I'm really sorry, I forgot to turn the camera on when I started hot gluing the moss onto the bunny rabbit, so sorry about that. But as you can see, I'm just adding the hot glue onto the bunny rabbit and then just adding a layer of moss, and then I'm just using my little spatula to press that moss down. And I'm just going to continue all the way down the bunny, adding a layer of hot glue and then a layer of moss, and then just pressing it down with my little spatula. And just be careful that you don't burn your fingers, because I have gotten a few nasty burns whenever I do a project like this and not paying attention. I just want to take a second and say to my subscribers that are returning, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it so much. And to my new subscribers, thank you for being here. And if you're just dropping by, hi, hello, I'm Gwen. Welcome to At Home with Gigi. I really hope that you will decide that you want to stick around and become a part of the YouTube family. But again, thank you to everybody just for being here. I truly appreciate it. After letting the glue completely dry, I took it outside and sprayed it really good with spray adhesive. Some people use hairspray. I like spray adhesive, and I get that at the Dollar Tree as well. And then I let that dry again, and then I'm just using my little small scissors to trim off any excess moss, because I really love the look that they've had the last couple of years of the bunny rabbits covered in moss, and so I wanted to make my own this year, and so we're going to see how it turns out. I think it turns out pretty cute. You're going to have to let me know what you think. And y'all, that is not hot glue in the center of my poor little bunny. It is a really light piece of moss. And I got to looking at him and I was like, oh my gosh, what in the world did I do? But it's just a really light piece of moss, so I just left it to give him some character. And I'm using hot glue to attach my bunny to the egg, but you can use, if you want a more permanent hold, you can use E6000, or my personal favorite is the Gorilla Glue. That's the gel. But for this video, because I was trying to hurry up and get this done, I'm just using hot glue. And I'm going to create a handle to hang my sign, and I'm just using some beads. These colored beads came from Michaels, and I got those last year during their spring clearance. For that whole big thing, I got it for $3, and I just love it. The little containers, of course, came from the Dollar Tree, and then the natural colored beads, they came from Amazon. And I just repeated my pattern about 5 times around, just until I got my little handle as long as I wanted it. I mean, you can make yours longer, shorter. You don't even have to use beads if you don't want. But I like the look that it gives my sign. And I just used a piece of tape to twist around the edges. It just made that twine go through that little hole so much easier. And I'm just going to tie it off. I'm just going to double knot it to make sure that it's not going anywhere. But if you're going to give this away or something like that, or make it for someone, I probably would add just a little bit of hot glue just for a little extra security. And I went ahead and made a little messy bow for my sign. I think I used about 6 or 7 different types of ribbon, and most of those, all of them actually, came from the Dollar Tree except for one. And it's you can see it laying on the floor. I didn't realize it had fallen. It's just a silky type ribbon that came from Amazon. And I just took a coordinating bead and ran a piece of floral wire through it, and then just wrapped it around the center of my bow several times. And I ended up using green floral wire because since I have moved a few months ago, I have organized myself into chaos. I can't find anything, so I couldn't find my regular floral wire, so I just used the green. And what I ended up doing was taking a little piece of twine and running it through that bead and tying it on the back side of my bow. And that way it covered up that green floral wire. Then I just fluffed out my bow just a little bit and hot glued it to the front, and that was it. I really think it turned out super cute. I really, really like this. For this DIY, we're going to make a really plush bunny using this finger loop yarn, and I ordered this from Amazon. Actually, I got it back in December. I was going to make a snowman and never did, and it comes 3 in a pack. And then I'm going to use this little bunny wreath ring, I think that's what you call it. And then I'm also going to use a 14-inch wreath ring, say that 3 times in a row, from the Dollar Tree. As you can see, I'm just taking one loop and pulling it through the other, and really that's all you need to do to keep this in place. But I want to make sure as I'm starting that my yarn's not going to slip and slide up and down the metal of the wreath. So I just added just a touch of hot glue on each side, and I'm just kind of using my hand to hold what I'm looping around here at the beginning in place, because I'm doing it fairly loosely because I want my bunny to be, you know, a plush, fluffy bunny. As you can see, it took just a couple of minutes to get the hang of it, just exactly how loose I wanted it to be. But once you can get it going, it is just super easy.
I pull into your driveway, it's a Saturday night. You look like $1,000,000 wearing that dress I like. You're smiling, but there's something missing in your eyes. Girl, I can tell that you have something on your mind. But I will make you forget all your sorrows. Let go like there's no tomorrow. Let's have a drink, just relax, all your problems will fade.
This extra piece that I am snipping off, I'm going to save it to wrap around one of my bunny ears.
I know you're all about the good vibes. Do you know how much I love you? Wanna see you smile. Where's the happy girl that I know?
When I got to the point where I was wrapping the yarn between the ears, I just kept going right in between the ears, as you can see what I'm doing, hopefully, and just when I'm pulling it through, I'm trying to make sure I'm not pulling it too tight because I still want to keep that fluffy, full bunny look. I just kept wrapping in between his ears until I made sure all of that wire is completely covered. I actually had a lot of fun making this wreath, and I really think I'm going to order some more of this yarn, and then really when it comes to the holidays again, and make a snowman. I'm just going to continue to wrap the yarn up around the ear, and this is where I started to get worried that I was about to run out of yarn, because I didn't have much left. Even though I had 3 skeins when I started, I had used so much on the body of the bunny, I started to get really low, and I started wrapping it too tightly, and you'll see in a minute it just did not look good at all. It looked like he had some really skinny, skimpy ears, so I ended up going back and unwrapping it and then just loosely wrapping and just playing with it and fluffing it. As you can see right here, it's just too skinny right there. But if I had had one more skein, I could have really made him some really plush, fluffy ears like his body, but I didn't, so I just had to make do. And remember the piece of yarn I had left over from his body? I just used that to cover his other ear. And again, I'm just wrapping that yarn around this last ear, just wrapping it around there, making sure I get all of that wire covered up. Then all you have to do is just cut off the excess, and again, just pull that one loop through the other, and it really does. I have not had any problems, and I made this bunny and when I'm doing this voiceover, I did this bunny probably about 4 weeks ago, and it is not unraveled at all. I'm just going to push the yarn apart just a little bit so I can see the rings on each piece of the bunny, and so I can line it up, and then I'm going to use 4 zip ties, and I'm just going to put them through and attach them, but I'm not going to pull them completely together just yet because I want to make sure that I have everything lined up and as even as possible. After I get all 4 of them in there and make sure everything is lined up, I'm just going to pull them just as tight as I can because I don't want it to move around too much, and then I'm just going to take my wire cutters and snip those ends off. Now this is where you can get creative with your bunny. You can make it a girl bunny, a boy bunny, you can use whatever color, any type of flower that you want. And I was inspired by a picture I saw on Pinterest a few months ago, and I just loved how they had the roses going across the top of the bunny's head. So I decided to use these little foam roses, I think that's what you call them, and I found these at Dollar Tree when they had all the Valentine's stuff out, and I just love this peach color. It's just so pretty and just springy. Is that a word, springy? But anyway, I thought it was just so pretty and knew that this is what I wanted to do with them. And I'm also going to add in some of this lavender that came from, I think it came from Dollar Tree last year as a matter of fact. And I'm just adding in some little greenery and little sprigs around my roses. Again, this is where you could just completely make this your own. You could use any type of flower. You don't even have to use flowers. You could add a hat right here instead of the flowers. You could add a big fuzzy tail to the bunny. You could, just create a bow. I did make a bow instead of using a tail. I just wanted a bow to complement my flowers, and when you see this ribbon, you will know what I'm talking about. It is just the prettiest ribbon. It's very simple, but it's so pretty. I got it last year from Michael's when they clearanced out all their spring items, and I was trying to decide where I wanted it to go, but I finally decided to just hot glue it to his neck. I'm just attaching it with some hot glue if you don't want to do that. If you want to be able to reuse your bow, you can always use another piece of ribbon just to attach your bow, and I think it turned out so gorgeous. I am just in love with my bunny.
I pull into your driveway, it's a Saturday night. You look like $1,000,000 wearing that dress I like. You're smiling, but there's something missing in your eyes. Girl, I can tell that you have something on your mind. But I will make you forget all your sorrow.
We're going to start this project by giving this little wooden bunny sign that came from the Dollar Tree one coat of the Waverly chalk paint, and the color is alabaster. And y'all, I love Dollar Tree, you know that, but these sponges that I got this last pack, if you see how I'm holding the sponge, they are terrible. It would not, it just kept wanting to just flop back and forth, so I was just holding like that because I was trying to just get through with painting my bunny. I'm just going to use this sheet of scrapbook paper that came from Hobby Lobby and just put down a good layer of Mod Podge. And whenever I use scrapbook paper, I do use a heavier layer of Mod Podge than I would if I was using a napkin or something that's a lot thinner than this scrapbook paper. I'm just going to adjust it and try to center it as much as I possibly can, and then just smooth it. And I'm rubbing pretty hard. You can see I'm moving my table, but this is some really thick scrapbook paper, and I'm just trying to make sure that I'm getting all the air bubbles and excess Mod Podge out. And as always, I just use my favorite combination of scissors, sanding block, and handy dandy nail file to just remove all the excess scrapbook paper. And I'm just going to attach with some hot glue just this leftover scrap piece of floral foam from another project, and I thought it was just the perfect size, and I didn't even try to cut it down and even it out. And I'm just going to add in a variety of flowers that I've had left over from projects from last spring. And guys, I don't use any rhyme or reason when I create an arrangement. I'm using the term arrangement very loosely here. I just wanted it to look like a really wild, lush English garden. That's just the picture I had in my head. So hopefully I accomplished that. You're going to have to let me know what you think. And y'all, I am not one that always knows exactly where I want a flower to go and exactly how I want an arrangement to look. I strictly do mine by trial and error, and if I don't like how it looks, it's going to come out, and I'm going to keep placing it until I find exactly the right spot for it, or at least for me, anyway. What I kind of had in mind whenever I started making this arrangement was just like a beautiful English garden. And I just always picture an English garden. It's just full of pinks and purples and yellows and whites and just beautiful and lush. When we get to the end and you see how it's finished, you'll just have to let me know what you think. Did I accomplish my beautiful English garden?
Smiling, but there's something missing in your eyes. Girl, I can tell that you have something on your mind.
And these beautiful little delicate yellow flowers came from the Dollar Tree last summer as well. I am trying very, very hard this year to reuse and use up a lot of flowers that I bought last year, because I just kind of went crazy because they had so many pretty florals. So I have about 3 totes of leftovers from last year. So yeah, I got a lot to use up.
Good vibes. I know you're all about the good vibes. Do you know how much I love you? Wanna see you smile. Where's the happy girl that I know with a heart?
And after I let it sit for a little bit, I came back in the next day and added in a couple of more of the pink roses. I thought it just needed a little bit more of the larger flowers. And it might be too much, I don't know, but I just loved it. And I added in just a couple of more sprigs of the purple lavender. I was going to make this a hanging bunny, and you can see the ribbon laying there, and I really did go ahead and attach a ribbon to the back of it, and I just did not like the way it looked, so I removed the ribbon and decided to add it to my hut, and I am so glad that I did. I absolutely love how it looks in my hut, and I think my hut is just so cute and decorated all for spring and Easter. But I am just in love. I think this is my favorite. Maybe the bunny rabbit with the loop yarn. I don't know. I can't decide, but I just love this. I think it is so pretty. I hope you've enjoyed today's video because I have had so much fun putting these 3 projects together. And if you like this video and you got some enjoyment out of it, I hope you'll give me a big old thumbs up. And if you'll comment down below and tell me which of the 3 was your favorite. And I'll see you next time. Bye!